Hey guys, welcome back into another video, and in this video we're going to be going over the second part of the make a website with Python series. So what we want to do in this video is make a login.html file as well as a register.html file, and then connect those files with our backend in Flask. So to get started, what we're going to do in our backend is we're going to add another route to our website, say at the app.route, and then we're going to call this slash register. And now what's going to happen is when the user goes into our website URL and then goes into slash register, they're going to be going into this function, and then we can just define a register function, define register, add our brackets, and then we can return render template register.html. Now obviously we don't have a register.html file, but we can create that just in a minute. And then what we want to do is do the same thing except with our login function. So you can just paste this here and then change this to login, as well as the function name, change to login, as well as the HTML file that we're going to be returning. It's going to be login.html instead of register.html. So now what we want to do is go into our templates folder, create a new HTML file, call this register, and it automatically gives me our basic setup of HTML. Now what we want to do here is just type in tutorial, which is just what I'm calling the website. So now inside our body tag, we're going to add a form where the user can input in different values for their names. And what we're going to ask in this form is their first name, last name, email, as well as password, because in registration you have to ask a lot of things so you can store them in your database for further use. So I'm going to make a form tag. And inside this form, I'm going to put in 4 input tags, one for first name, one for last name, one for email, and one for password. So what I'm going to do is input type equals text, and then name and ID. This is I'm going to set as first name. And I'll explain what these do shortly after ID equals first name. So what this does, it helps identify that this is a first name. So when we want to get this value inside our main.py backend, then we can just refer to them as first name, and then once the user clicks submit, they can be forwarded to our backend where we can then store it in our database. And the ID also helps connects like labels. So I can put in label for this tag, label for first name. Now this will be a label for the first name. As you can see, if I click first name, it is green and not giving me an error. So inside the name label, I can put in first name, and then you can see that this will display first name and then a label. So what I want to do after this is I want to have a break tag, because I want to have 2 break tags, because I want space between our first name and then last name and then our email file and then our password input. So I'm gonna do the same thing for last name, and I'll catch you guys right after that's over. And we're back, but as you can see, I added another label for last name. I changed the ID as well as the name as well as the label, but the type is still text, because last name will be inputted by the user as text. So next what we want to enter is, first I'm going to say label, and then this one's going to be for email. And then I'm just gonna say, it's giving me an error right now because there's no email input tag. So I'll just make the E capital, and then we're gonna make an input tag. This time the type isn't gonna be just text, and but it's gonna be email, because HTML has a function where it can detect whether the user is actually putting in a legitimate email with like a @ or like a gmail.com or a rediff.com or a yahoo.com, like that it ends with that. And then we can do name equals email, and the same thing with the ID. And now what we want to do is make the same thing for, I'm gonna add our 2 break tags. We want to do the same thing for our password. So we're gonna put in label for password. Again, it's giving an error because there's no password yet, so just type password here, and then our input tag. And now this is going to be type equals password. What this type does, it hides what the user puts in because you don't want to display their password because for safety reasons. And then we're going to put in name also equal to password, so there's no confusion in our backend, as well as the ID equal to password. Now, finally, what we want to add is a submit button. So we're going to say button, and the type of this button is submit. And then what we want to say in this button is just submit. So I can run this really quick to show you guys, but we want to, one more thing we're going to add in this is methods. So methods I'll explain to you shortly after this works. So this is just our home page that we did in our last video. Then we can go in /register, and as you can see, first name, last name, email, and password. And email, you can see it hides it. And now back into our code, we can see that if we go into our register, I'm gonna put in here form method equal to post. So when I click method equal to, you can see it gives me three options: post, dialog, and get. Dialog you don't have to worry about for basic. We're gonna be going over post and get. So what get does, it basically just for displaying our HTML files or displaying anything else from our front end side. As you can see here, it says get register. What this does is just showing our get file, like a registered up HTML file. But what post does is once the user clicks submit, we want to take those values back into our database, and then what we're going to do back in our database is also put the method to match post. So post is to retrieve values and get is just to display. So that's basically all you need to know for now. So I'm going to just put in post here. One more thing I'm going to put in here is action. So once the user does click submit, we want them to go into register function. So I'm just going to put in /register, which we defined earlier. And after the user goes there, it's going to ask them for the values in the form, and then it's going to ask them for other things, and then forward them into another page after the user has registered. So it's going to be like another home page, but this time they're going to be logged in. But that'll be all in the next video. That's it for this video. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.